I hope you're having a great day. So I've been really busy and I haven't had much time to do any footage, so I just thought I'd jump on real quick. I have a couple of minutes. I did a bouquet just now. I took a florist order. I have a florist order tomorrow for tulips, and I have a full cooler of tulips. I've just been harvesting and harvesting, and they just keep coming. Like, they just keep getting ready to harvest. So I'm harvesting multiple times a day. Like, I feel like I'll get done harvesting and I'll bring them all up, wash off the bulbs, get them in a little bucket with the bulb on, set them up in the cooler, and then I go back out and there's another whole round to be harvested. So it's getting a little bit crazy on the flower farm this week. So I still have a little bit of room for more, and I think I'm gonna run out to the field again. I just pull the bulbs out of the ground, and if I need to, I'll use a little shovel, but it just rained, so I'm just pulling them, and they're just coming out. The other day when it was drier, I had to use like a shovel, and I just picked them up and then pulled them out, and that's all I'm doing. So I gotta go. So it has been so busy on the farm. Oh my gosh. I'm going to try to just recap what went on at the end of last week and then give you some updates on what's going on. I don't think I got a lot of footage of stuff because I was just in go mode and I had to get things done, which meant not getting out my camera and doing all of that. I did do a day in the life of a flower farmer last year where I videoed everything. And this year I thought, you know, I might not be able to get every day. Especially since I'm trying to grow the business and pick it up. So I will update you though as often as I can. I'm going to try to at least once a week, more if I'm able to. So, the tulips, oh my gosh, let's just look. So I still have some tulips these are the late varieties. My mid and early varieties just seem to all go at once. So this patch I still have. I picked almost everything out of that patch. Few left here. I mean, as you can see as I go down this row, I have just taken patches of tulips just out of the ground. And I have either put them in bouquets and sold them, put them in buckets and sold them to florists. What has been taking all my time. I have been pulling tulips morning, noon, and evening before I go home and getting them in the cooler. That way they last longer, and hopefully I'll have a bunch of Mother's Day bouquet tulip arrangements. In the midst of all of that happening, our weather went from 80 all the way down, and we had a night where it was 24 degrees. And so it was freezing all night. We were in a freeze warning. So I came out here, I covered everything with frost cloth, and I even put a double layer of frost cloth. I just laid it over the top of my Lisianthus, and then I put my hoops up. I tried to lay some cloth over the tulips. I don't think the tulips were harmed at all. I had pulled all of the ones and put them in the cooler for the night, and the rest of them hadn't bloomed yet. We will see as they start to bloom and make sure their leaves aren't translucent or anything. But I'll flip you around here. So I think the stalk survived it. Oh, why do I already have weeds? Already. Okay, so these leaves are the cotyledon leaves. So these leaves turn yellow and fall off anyway. These leaves were pretty subjected to the cold weather, but as you can see, there's soft, new, furry, green leaves emerging in the stalk. So while they might have got a little bit of frost, these brand new leaves are pushing growth. So I don't think it killed them. And I mean, 24 degrees. That is cold. And it was below freezing for an extended period of time. It wasn't just like 1 or 2 hours. It was like all night. I think it was, if I remember right, I think it was from 1 a.m. until 7 a.m. the next day. Temperatures were below freezing and they got as low as 24. So with a frost cloth, this stalk seemed to do well. So then we come over here to our Lisianthus, and it is shooting up. If you see, there are brand new tiny leaves in between those leaves. And these top leaves look pretty good. Some of the leaves, I think, either have something wrong with them or they got burnt. But that one is quite a bit taller. Some of the varieties are a lot smaller. They were when I put them in the field. I've definitely lost a few. There's holes, not so much down here, but up at the top, there's holes that there's just no more Lisianthus. This one might have gotten frosted more than the others, you can see. But if you look down in here, you see that it is pushing up that little tiny dark green. It is pushing up. It looks like new growth. So I'm gonna cross my fingers. I think these are gonna make it. They're looking really good. And of course the weeds are just flourishing in the cold. But the Lisianthus are looking good. So I don't think it froze any of them out. But that was, you know, coming out here and putting all this up, and then for 3 days it was below freezing. So I would put up the frost cloth and put it down, put it up, put it down. And then that night I put a double layer on. But if we come over here and we look, so here are the ranunculus I put in the holes. And as you can see, a lot of it didn't look good, but look at all this green new growth. It's pushing up from the base. So even though these stems got a little frozen, I think they're gonna be okay. And then same thing, the Snapdragons, they're definitely starting to lose their cotyledon leaves. Don't let that throw you off. Those are the first leaves to emerge. They always turn yellow and fall off. But the top here is looking pretty good. Now it does look like, you know, it probably got some frost, but there's 2 new leaves shooting through the middle, and there's these 2 that are bright green. So up here, they look really good. And as you go on down hills, that's where, so the end of your hills or the bottoms is where it's going to be the coldest. That's where the temperatures dip the most. They're the furthest away from the frost line, from the temperatures that they give you on the news and stuff. So if I come down here, these Snapdragons definitely look a little bit worse, but I think they're gonna make it. So if you look at that one, definitely got frosted. Even the 2 middle leaves aren't looking great. They're real light yellow in the middle. I'm hoping that they push through and survive. These definitely got hit a little bit harder. And they're definitely not looking quite as good, but again, it's got those new leaves, you know, that were just forming, and they took the cold, and so maybe those leaves will be really tough and take in the sun and keep the plant alive. So that was a lot of what I've been doing this week, was just taking care of plants, picking tulips, and making bouquets. And I know I made a video where I was making all my bouquets, and I'm pretty much doing the same thing. I still have tulips and I have willow. So all of my bouquets are pretty much similar to that video. So I was like, yeah, I probably don't need to do another one. I did have a really large bouquet. I'll throw that up on the screen. Somebody wanted $100 worth of tulips. So I threw that together, which was awesome. It was so many tulips, but it was really pretty. And during all of that cold, boy, my peonies really started coming out of the ground. I'm starting to think I'm not missing 10 peonies anymore, because some of the holes I thought were empty actually have started to emerge with little plants. And that row is an entire different variety than these rows. So I think it just comes up a lot later. There's one big one. But most of them are just now coming out of the holes. So now I'm thinking I'm down to less than 5 missing peonies. But look at these. They're looking really good, I think. And they definitely survived the cold. They're doing good. But yeah, so my days were just, I would harvest as many tulips as I could. I'd wash them off. I stick them in just a tiny bit of water so that the bulbs keep soaking up a little bit of water, keep feeding that tulip. And when I go to cut the bulb off and put them in arrangements, it's just like taking them out of the field. So I did have a comment on one of my videos when I was doing the bouquets. They said that it's not good for the industry to have 15 to 20 tulips in what I consider a $40 bouquet. So I normally sell them for $40, but my subscriptions, they buy a full year of $35 bouquets, and I usually just make them a $40 bouquet because I appreciate that they signed up for so many bouquets throughout my season. And I really don't, I mean, I think there's a lot of factors that you have to think of. So when I sell to my florist, I obviously am not selling them those tulips at that high of a rate, but my florists don't buy every tulip I have, and I like to plant plenty because I want to make sure that I have enough for my subscribers. I want to have enough for people that want to order and have tulips, and then I also want to have enough to fulfill any orders from florists. And you can have major failures where you don't get a lot of tulips, so you want to plant extra. I mean, you only get 80% of what you put in, and if something happened with the weather or anything else, you might not even get that. So I do have extras, and if I'm not selling them like right off the shelves, I'll throw a few extras in. I can do that. I grow my own. I'm not buying them from anybody else, and I'm making more money than my business model because I want to sell to florists wholesale, and when I throw them in a bouquet and sell them to the public, I make more money than I do off the florist. But yeah, I'm not charging florist prices because I don't have to. I'm not buying them from anyone. So I'm getting the money I want out of my tulips. I also live in a community where there are a lot of Amish around me, and a lot of the stuff that I do is seasonal. So I'm competing with everyone else that's growing it in season. And the Amish are growing it in season, and they also are selling them around my area. And you know, they don't have as high of prices. They have very large families and groups, and they don't spend a lot out in our economy. You know, they make their own clothes, they farm a lot, they sell a lot, and they just don't require as much money. So I'm competing with that. So I have to have competitive prices or I won't sell any of my flowers. So, I mean, yes, maybe in bigger cities, different markets, I think it's really important to always keep in mind that not everybody's situation is the same as everybody else's. I'm not living in New York, Chicago. I'm not living in a big city where I can get high prices. I'm living in small rural Iowa with a lot of farmers. So, I mean, that's my explanation for that. It is what it is. I think I get what I can get, and I'm happy with being able to deliver my flowers to people. So that's good. My asparagus has gotten out of control. I have cut 3 batches of it, and it just got away from me with all of the life happening on the farm and the deliveries. So that's the thing. So I would take a lot of orders. I have my bouquet subscriptions to get out, and then I would deliver them. Plus I was pulling them morning, noon, and night, and I think with all of that, you can probably see why I didn't have much time to get my camera out. Another thing that's going on are my David Austin roses are coming in today. I had to get a place prep for that. So I worked on that last night and I started getting this field ready. So I'll show you up here. I have these logs. So those are where my tulips are going to be. They're 5 feet apart. They are 5 feet from the building, which if you take the center of, I keep saying tulips. If you take the center of the rose bush, the whole rose bush is 5 feet. So it should go out 2.5 feet towards the building. So I should have 2 feet at least, maybe 2.5 feet to walk in between the building. I will have more until it reaches its full size. So I thought that would be good because, you know, this is like, I probably will want to be able to like walk to the end of the field on a clear getaway, and we still have access to the building that way. And if ever I need to rip this up, you could actually mow in between that with a mower and go around the tulips, and go around the roses. So I think it'll be good. That's where I'm planning on putting them. It is the north side of the building, but I was out here yesterday and about 3 feet towards the building is shaded and the rest of it's not the rest of the day. So I hope they do good there. They will get a lot of west sun. But yeah, it's just kind of a zigzag line. I thought that would give me some space to maybe tuck some other stuff in, either under them or around them, and kind of develop that area. And you know, if I ever decided not to put cut flowers here because I made a bigger field or whatever, it would be just kind of a nice little like garden in front of that building. So that's where I am putting my rose bushes. I have it all mapped out. I know where they're going. All I have to do is burn the holes and put them in. So they're supposed to come today between 10:30 and 12:30. Then I'm going to, I think, need to soak them for a little bit, and then I'll put some rose tone in and put them in the holes. And then I started putting down my fabric for some zinnias. So that's exciting. And I'm going to succession plant zinnias this year. I did it last year. I planted 3 successions. I might, and I think 3 is about the end, because that last succession of zinnias, I was cutting them, and like I think I got 2 rounds out of them of cuttings, and then everything froze and died. So I'm gonna stick to that. I think it worked really well last year, so I'm gonna do my first round of zinnias. I'm gonna do more than I did last year though, and then I will do some successions for later on. But yay! And I bought them in color palettes, so I can do like a row of red, a row of orange, a row of yellow, a row of pink. So that's exciting. I've never done that. I've always just grown all the varieties. And then I got kind of this drip laid out over here, just the tubing. It's a lot easier to work with if it sits out in the sun and warms up after you've laid it out. So I went ahead and laid that out. And then I think I'm going to need 3 or 4 pieces to cover this row, and I don't know yet exactly. I think I'm gonna need a couple more rows of zinnias. Maybe not. That's a lot of zinnias, especially if I have some in my deer friends too. But there's things like cosmos, amaranth, gomphrena, so I need to figure out exactly where I'm putting in that field, but I do need to get that fabric laid. And then when I was trying to figure out if I had any more 9-inch holes of plastic, I did come through. If you'll remember, all the plastic was just in this corner of this greenhouse. But I went ahead and I thought, you know what, it can have water on it, and that black fabric absorbs a lot of heat. So I put it under my little trays on my bench. So I have my 6-inch here. This is like random pieces. So there's one that's 9-inch, but it's only like 5 foot long. So these are just a bunch of random pieces, and then that's all of my 12 foot. So that's good. And my plants in here made it through the 24 degrees. I did come in here the next morning after it had been freezing and it was like 24 degrees, and it was 40 degrees in here. So, I mean, I think it stayed warm enough, and all of these plants look fine. They didn't get burnt or frozen or anything. So I still have the task of putting these in the ground. So today I need to get that field done. I need to get my David Austin roses in. I do also need to probably advertise and keep moving my tulips. But if I do that, then I'll be out delivering and I won't be able to get my field done. So I'm going to try to get this done before I get any orders. Put some advertising out after noon. But yeah, so it's busy, busy, busy. Sorry I'm not getting a lot of footage of stuff, but I promise I'll try to keep you updated so that if you're following along and maybe it helps you remember something you need to do, I'll do that. But some of this stuff like the yarrow, I'm kind of in the back of my mind, I'm like, can I put that somewhere else? Because there aren't very many empty holes in that row, and of course it reseeds itself, so the yarrow from this year, I can sprinkle some in next year. So I might save those. I might put some yarrow around my proven winners plants that are coming in the ditch, because it is one of the first things that come out, and it drowns out the weeds real early in the spring, which is great. So I might put some of it down there. I haven't decided. I would like to get the lupine in the field. So, and I would like to get the Lisianthus in the field. It's not supposed to freeze for the next 10 days, so I would like to get at least the lupine and Lisianthus in the field. I would like to get the delphinium in the field, and I still need to figure out what I'm doing with these sweet peas. I didn't have sweet peas last year because this is my problem. They need to be out now, and I don't know what to do with them. Okay. Maybe I'll put them in the row next to the ranunculus and just let them grow wild. I mean, that'd be better than nothing. Or maybe I could find a cattle panel and put it up. So when I get done doing all of my landscape fabric out there, whatever is left between the ranunculus and that, maybe I'll throw the sweet peas in the ground. And then my liatris does have a couple sprouts in it. So maybe it's going to come up. The larkspur, none of this stuff. I thought it might germinate in here, and maybe it still will, especially after the cold temperatures, and then it heats up. So I'll keep watering it and see if it comes up. But that's what I'm up to. I'm trying to just get stuff done. So this is my cooler. Got a lot of buckets of tulips. It's usually dark in here. I have my light on right now. Some of them I need to get gone today, but I've just been like that tulip. So I'll try to get that tulip out in a bouquet, and it'll be one of the first to go. And then some of these that are a little bit tighter, like this one, will last me a lot longer in the cooler. But when they start to open up, you know, that's when you gotta get them into a vase, get them into the hands of your customers, because if they open up in the cooler, you know, you're just going to decrease your vase life later on. So here are all of my tulips. Some of them are on the verge of getting open. I'm going to turn off this light and try to get that cooler down in temperature. I turned it up because I was worried that it was gonna freeze when it was 24 degrees, because it's not heated in that room. It's strictly just cooled. So anyway, those are all my tulips. So yeah, I need to work on getting those sold as well. This is where it becomes a conundrum when you're a kind of a one-person team, because I need to market those and get them sold, but I'm kind of hesitant because if people start ordering them for me to do deliveries today, I will never get those plants in the ground, and I will never get all my landscape fabric. So I think I'm going to try to get as much done this morning as I can, and then I need to find some time to throw some tulip bouquets together so they're just ready to go, and then see if I can set a delivery schedule. Like I'll deliver them all from 11 to noon. That way I can grab lunch and then get back out here, something like that. So working on processes, trying to get stuff done, but I'm not going to advertise quite yet this morning because I really need to get some stuff done in the field. So that's kind of how it goes on the flower farm. But anyway, I'm just gonna get out. It's getting later into the morning, so I'm gonna get out and get after it, and hopefully I can grab an update when I'm done. Okay, so I can't lay another fabric in between the ranunculus and where the zinnias end, but the ranunculus will come out, and I thought the sweet peas come out. I'm pretty sure they come out too. So I'm gonna put up a cattle panel right here, and I'm gonna try to put my sweet peas along it this year. Okay, I got all the sweet peas in. They're all along this fence on both sides. And I know that it's not a lot of sweet peas for a flower farm, but last year they didn't grow at all for me. And then I saw a video this year where somebody in my same zone starts them in January. And so I always thought I could just put them out like 6 weeks before our last frost date. That's what I tried last year. I put the seeds right in the ground. That did not work. So this year I was like, well, I'm gonna start them and then I'll put the plants in the ground when it's cold. And after I started them, I saw a video where somebody started them in January. So I don't have high hopes. So I just tucked them all in there. I had a few left and I put it over in that container, but that gets neglected and things die. But I didn't want to go on down and put another whole panel up for like 10 more plants because I don't even know if they're gonna work. And if they don't work this year, I might try one more time next year and see how productive they are. They are a lot of work since you have to if you're gonna grow a lot of them, you'd have to create a lot of space and put poles in the ground, and then of course you're gonna have to take them out at the end of the year and make sure it's all weeded and all of that. So we'll see. If I love them, then they'll be worth it. If not, maybe not. And this year might not be the best test. I might have to give it one more year after this. We will see, but I'm gonna water them in and then move on to the next task. And while we're over here, I thought I would update you. The ranunculus did not do well. You're not supposed to let them get under 24 degrees or 28 degrees. They got down to 24. The ones on that end seem to be doing a lot better. A lot of them down here I lost. And then something's been digging them up too, because there's a bunch of I can tell it was dug out. And I did reach into some of these down here where I knew there was one, but I didn't see any leaves or anything. And I think the roots had just completely rotted. The corm had rotted and it was done. But there is some green at that end. They're pushing some new growth. So I still have hopes that I'll get a few ranunculus this year. And then hopefully I'll also get some sweet peas. We'll just have to wait and see. But that is done. So now moving on to the next task. And look what arrived. Yay, it was perfect timing. So I got my David Austin roses, and I brought out 6 trays from my basement grow lights. I brought out Dianthus, foxglove, some Snapdragons, and one of my trays of bells of Ireland. So I got those into my little cold frame greenhouse. And now I'm gonna open up these roses. I am so excited. The Livia Rose Austin. And I think what I'm gonna do, these feel really wet already, but I'm gonna get a bucket and I'm gonna just set them in the bucket and let their roots soak up some water, and then I'm gonna burn the holes and get ready to put them in the ground. I've got Lady of Chalet. Gabriel Oak. The Poet's Wife. Princess Alexandria of Kent. And Litchfield Angel. Look at the roots. Oh geez. And there's already buds on them. So I'm gonna let these soak in some water for just a little bit while I get those holes ready, and I'm gonna get them in the ground. Okay, so it says on the David Austin Roses site to soak them for a minimum of 2 hours. So I have the roots all soaking in buckets, and I'm going to just dig out all the holes. I'm going to put some rose tone in them, and then I'll wait 2 hours and get them in the ground. Okay, so it has been over 2 hours, about 2.5 hours since I started soaking these roses. I did go and I put in my tray of lupine and I put in my tray of Lisianthus. You guys have seen that before, so I didn't bother filming it. And then I did pluck some of the delphinium out and fill in empty holes down there and water them in. And I still have a few left in the tray, but and I might have a few more holes down there, but my timer went off and I wanted to get up here and get these roses in the ground. So here's my hole. I put a little bit of rose tone in it. So just gonna fill this in a little bit more because I don't think it needs quite that much dirt. And I want this sitting above the ground, so just kind of fill in around those roots to stand up straight. And this will settle a little bit, so. Yay! My little David Austin roses are in the ground. This does get a lot of afternoon sun, so we'll see how they do. And if the black fabric's too hot for them, I might have to take it up and put mulch. I don't really know yet. We will just wait and see how this experiment goes. But I think I got a lot done today. I got my David Austin roses in. I got my line of sweet peas in. I got my fabric laid. I got a tray of Lisianthus, a tray of lupine, half a tray of delphinium, and I pulled a whole bunch of tulips, and I took a few orders. I've got 2 Mother's Day orders already. They ordered them on my website, and then I have another order for sometime this week. So it's been a busy day on the farm. I think I'm gonna get some stuff cleaned up and call it a day. I do have to pick a few more tulips, but that's gonna be it for today. I hope you guys all enjoyed this update, and I hope you have a great day.